All right, y'all. So we're back with another one. And in this one, Jesse is going to be explaining the future of AI when it comes down to Coinbase. So let's get into it.
All right, here. I know we don't have a ton of time with you. I gotta get your take, Mr. Jesse Pollock. A lot of this shit is happening on Base. What does the future of crypto AI look like, and what do you think about it?
Ooh, I mean, I kind of think about it similar to the consumer social stuff. Like, I think that we're going to have exponential growth both in the capabilities of agents and in the number of agents over the next 5 years. Like I think it's very hard for us to reason about right now what that actually will lead to, like societally. But if I just like zero in on like base and on-chain agents, like I think we're going to go from having what I would consider probably like low thousands or tens of thousands of agents today to like hundreds of thousands, then millions and tens of millions of agents like over the next 1 year, 2 years. Like it's gonna happen really, really fast. And that's because agents are gonna get more capabilities. And then there's some virality of agents where agents will kick off new agents or agents will bring about the possibility that other sorts of agents could be built. And so I think there's a similar potential around agent growth as consumer social growth. And that's because like agents fundamentally are multiplayer. Like you could almost think about an agent and these agents that people are building as consumer social products. They just are a slightly different interface. So I'm very bullish on that. I think it's very good. I think that the tooling is still like pretty immature. Like if you look at kind of like how agents are operating on chain today, like they're actually relatively constrained in what they can do. People are having to kind of define, hey, here's how you translate this intent into like an actual transaction. We have to write that out in code. I mean, that's really slow. I think what will happen over the next kind of like maybe 3 to 9 months is that will start to get flipped on its head where we'll actually have much better ingestion of all the on-chain data and all of the basically like contract definitions, such that you can then run LLMs over all of that and you can then empower agents to like kind of autonomously just transact on chain without kind of specific definition required by developers. And I think that will be a huge unlock. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting about this, and this is a thing that Solana is starting to talk about a lot more right now, is one of the big superpowers of Base and I think EVM in general is that everything is open. So like all of the contract definitions are by default public. They're all open. They're all accessible on Base. And you can go read them. You can discover them. Agents can read them and discover them. On Solana, just because of kind of like the technical history of Solana, the vast majority of that stuff is still closed. And so there's been a big push in the Solana ecosystem to start verifying contracts and make that more open. And my intuition is that this will actually be one of the harder things for Solana to kind of like work through and solve if it wants to be an important home for agents, is figuring out how do you actually make the chain open and readable for these people. I mean, not people, for these agents. And I think that, I kind of suspect that this is actually one of the reasons why, if you look at the last few weeks or maybe like month and a half, you saw a lot of the kind of like price appreciation around agent stuff first happen on Solana, but then a lot of the actual like programming and innovation and places where you're seeing agents develop new capabilities like virtuals or Fresa is actually happening on Base. And my intuition around that is there's actually something about the programming model and the like nature and the open nature of Base and other EVM platforms that makes them incrementally better home for these things that are just trying to kind of like ingest all of the data to be able to make good decisions.
Wait, I've never heard double click. I've never heard this. I've never heard this take before. Double click, double click. So you're under the assumption, I think many people are, that in the next year there will be hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Fuck, maybe the next 100 million users we're talking about on chain are gonna be are gonna be AI agents. And what you were saying is that how the openness of the EVM, which bases on, basically is like the ideal breeding ground for AI to live versus any other chain.
Yeah, and like here, maybe just to make that like break that down slightly more specifically. If you think about kind of like someone uploading a new smart contract to Base in Solana right now. When people upload that contract, it's basically adding a new capability to the chain. Like one way of thinking about this is it's almost like a serverless environment where you can like add an API and anyone else can build on it. But let's say like I add a new capability that's like, this gives an agent the capability of like sending my friend pizza, and it's defined in a smart contract. If you just look at the current state of play today, on Base, like 99% of the time, that contract would be open source, have APIs, which is kind of like the contract definition uploaded and verified. And anyone would basically be able to read and understand what the contract is doing, how it works, what goes downstream of it. On Solana, that hasn't been the default. And that's a mix of like cultural and technical reasons, but there's still huge surface areas in Solana where you basically don't have that contract information verified. And that makes it much harder for both people to call it and to reason about it, what's happening, and for agents to call about it and reason about what's happening. And so if you multiply that by like 1,000 or 100,000 or whatever it is, and you think about like all the capabilities that are being added, and in one place, like 99% of them are being defined and clarified and open, and the other place, maybe it's 30% of them or 40% of them. On a long enough time frame, you'll basically get divergence in what these agents can understand they can do, and it will bias towards the place where the capabilities are much more defined and much more open.
So the next 100 million users on chain is gonna be AI, and it's gonna happen on Base. Is basically what I'm hearing. I don't know.
You know, we're not making any specific commitments, but I mean, it's definitely happening fast.
I mean, I'll be honest,
like,
because I've seen your take was spot on, and it's honestly impressive how much your finger's on the pulse with this stuff. Price appreciation happened on Solana, Goat happened on Solana, Cerebro happened on Solana, and then all of a sudden, I'm only paying it. I'm like, I'm AI everything. I'm only paying attention to Solana, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? It's all virtuals. All these things are popping up on Base and popping up like it feels like a lot of the infra is happening on Base, which is wild.
Yeah, it's indicative of something, and this is the best. Like, because I know I've spent a lot of time with Solana builders. You have incredibly cracked Solana builders. You have obviously incredibly cracked Base builders, and so I don't think it's like a builder quality or capability thing, but I do think there's something that's driving this kind of emergence of much more of the actual like day-to-day technical innovation happening on Base, and this is my best thesis right now. But I'm curious what other people think.
That is a fucking interesting take. All right, I got like 2 more questions for you, and
All right, so yeah, that was an amazing one, man. Like, so one thing that he finds is going to be coming to Base is AI. AI seems to be the best built on the Base chain right now, and I think that that's huge. That's a huge take. So this could be a sign that we need to start looking at AI projects on Base, taking AI a lot more serious. Now, that's already been my strategy. That's already what I'm doing. But yeah, the fact that he's just made it clear that Solana isn't even really built for it, and there's a lot more freedoms and a lot more capabilities by using Base. I think that this is huge. So we should probably expect some more traffic coming here when it comes down to the AI. So let me know some good AI projects in the comment section down below, because I definitely need to get caught up and on to some of them plays that's on Base right now. Because a lot of the projects that I'm in aren't really on Base when it comes down to AI. It's on other chains. So yeah, let me know what you all think. Be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you stay updated with everything going on here on the channel. And yeah, we'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out, fam.